I'm Matisse, and my research question for this assignment was, is there a big difference in primate diversity when comparing two closely located sites? Well, let's have a look at a little bit of context. In order to accurately analyse long-term trends pertaining to biodiversity, it is vital for managers within the team network to have a proper understanding of their management units and how to accurately analyse them. The use of camera trapping of primate diversity is just one example of how these trends can be analysed. The aim of this was to determine if the number of primate individuals within the species of the Cercopithecidae family was similar or different when compared to two closely related sites in Adzangwa, Tanzania. Due to being within such a close proximity of one another, it was hypothesized that the number of individuals between each site should be fairly similar, as essentially they should be replicates of one another. Through the use of the team website, these two closely positioned sites were located and their data was downloaded. Data from each site was then manipulated, and the number of monkeys captured by camera traps within each species of the family was counted and tabulated to compare diversity. The Simpson's Index of Diversity was then used to better quantify the difference in data, and from this, a graph comparing species at each site and the number of individuals within each was generated. Research of the Adzangwa area in Tanzania was then performed for a better understanding as to why these results could have occurred. From the calculations obtained from the Simpson's Index of Diversity, it was concluded that Site 2, with a diversity rating of 0.096, contained a higher level of diversity of primates in comparison to Site 1, with a result of 0.064. This is because the Simpson's Index of Diversity states that the greater the value of D, the greater the level of diversity. Thus, the value of 0.096 is higher than that of 0.064, resulting in Site 2 having the greater diversity. Along with this, Site 2 had more of an even spread of the relative abundance of individuals between each different species, making it more even in comparison to the other site. The difference in richness of the two sites is, however, higher than expected. This difference could be explained by Site 2 being a further distance away from human settlement, where forest reserves have been modified for farming. The reason as to why these results do not, however, have a large difference is because, again, they are in such a close proximity to one another. The results allude to the conclusion that the difference in diversity levels of the primates between two sites was simply due to the positioning of each site within the transect. Site 1 was located close to human settlement, an area in which most wildlife wouldn't choose to reside in, and thus, Site 2 had a higher level of diversity and evenness. This hypothesis, however, should be further tested for a more adequate representation of results. The introduction of a third or a fourth site within an already occupied transect would allow for a more adequate result, as the two sites in this research may not be accurate or a true representation of the transect as a whole. Unfortunately, implications of this are, if human settlement were to further expand into the Adzangwa mountainous area, primate diversity will continue to decline. Management recommendations to mitigate these problems would be to firstly have a more concentrated monitoring system of the areas slowly being affected to ensure that no further problems can arise, and if they do, to ensure that action can take place immediately. Secondly, by placing a boundary a fair distance away from the border of each site, this would ensure that humans cannot possibly have a negative impact on the primates. These measures will help to increase stability to ensure diversity levels of primates in the future will remain constant. Thank you.